Since we uploaded the demo, we got a lot of feedback, and as good developers, we started working on them and fixing them. The last one was really a major one, starting with the most common one being that it felt like the player isn't controlling the character but the drone, which seems valid as the character can rotate and move around while the drone keeps on looking at the center of the screen. Also, the drone has dedicated location on the screen, whereas the character is jumping everywhere and covering almost every part of the screen. The solution was just to lock the drone with the character, so we tried it, and it still felt not so engaging, like you're doing something cool. So we ditched the drone and made it a shoulder mounted gun. This gun moves around with the character and looks like you are really shooting these powerful bullets to damage the enemy. Another complaint we had was that there was no major feedback about the player getting hit. There is a health bar, but it is way out of sight. Adding a floating number and this soft vignette is a solution for now, but we need to come up with something better. The combat didn't give the desired power fantasy to most of the players, and it had us questioning why. We want the game to feel like Doom and Apex Legends, where you annihilate the enemies through clever positioning and rewarding combat. Making the player move around was achieved, but making them confident about the combat was the problem. After playing the game for a bit, we understood the underlying problem. The player's attacks has no impact on the enemy. The enemies kept chasing you and it felt like they are bullet sponges. The solution we came up with was adding a set of hit reactions to our enemies. Now, unlike the usual shooters, we didn't do additive reactions. What do I mean by that? In your usual shooters, the hit reactions play on the particular part of the body and it doesn't affect the movement or the actions of the enemy. But we added hit reactions like in the melee combat games. Here the enemy plays a full body animation and also takes a step back every time you hit them. This means the players can interrupt an enemy attack and lock them in a stunned reaction state. These animations are not random, but they are in a sequence similar to how you have sword attacks in a combo. Speaking of swords, the last problem we faced was a major one, and it was related to one of the core mechanics of our game. So, the game has melee and ranged weapons, guns and a sword. Using the melee attack gains you bullets for the gun. This gives you a reason to use melee weapons, but instead of it being a cool back and forth of mechanics, no one was interested in using the sword. Moreover, everyone was annoyed when the gun ran out of bullets. It kept us guessing and wondering until it hit us. It is just not fun. The sword is just not fun enough to use. Currently, you just run around and use the sword with 2 moves, which is good for farming bullets, but isn't fun and motivating players to use it. So what can be done? We don't want the players to stop at a place and keep doing melee, as we want the players to always be moving. And the current moving sword attacks are boring. So we came up with an attack combo system where the animations have root motion and each animation takes you forward, hence not stopping your movement. Also, there was no clear indication of why would you just not use one over the other. Meaning, why wouldn't you just use the sword or only focus on the shooting? This meant that both the weapons lacked characteristics. This led us to divide the combat into 2 parts, high damage precision and low damage crowd control. The gun will be designed around high damage precision, where you can shoot a single enemy and do high damage, but it leaves you vulnerable to incoming foes. To battle that, you have a sword which has a bigger radius of damage. It does low damage but to a lot of enemies at once. This way you can control the enemies closer to you and also the ones farther. We wish to add in more depth to the sword with interesting combos and features, as there will be multiple guns but only one sword. You can play the demo for yourself with the link in the description. That is it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep playing.